I'm Johnny Massacre and welcome to the Johnny Massacre Show. On tonight's show, Full Metal Jacket retrospective review. You might be wondering where the fuck I am. I'm in the Japanese forest, so I'm going to keep my voice down. It's very quiet out here. I'm a city boy. I'm like Neo, lost in the Matrix. I'm like Deckard, stuck in the concrete jungle of the future. So sometimes I like to get outside, back to nature a little bit. Japanese forest, fucking amazing, mate. Shit. So, right, sound quality shit. I'm a high-tech guy, as you know, so I don't like having shit sound quality, but we have to make do. Going to do a quick review of the movie Full Metal Jacket. The movie is directed by Stanley Kubrick, and it is about the Vietnam War. The movie split into two parts. In the first part, it's about a group of grunts who are training to be Marines, and the drill sergeant is a hardcore motherfucker who's very rude and uses bad language. And there is a grunt called, I can't remember his name, but the drill sergeant nicknames him Pile and abuses him, bullies him, and drives him to suicide. The first part of the movie is awesome. It introduces you to one of the main protagonists called Joker. He's nicknamed Joker by the drill sergeant. People will tell you the opening scene is the best. The first 40 minutes, they could have ended it after that and it would have been a classic short movie. After that, they go to Vietnam, and the film is not really very structured, but they introduce some new characters. The music's very cool. I think the music must have influenced Quentin Tarantino because it's kind of upbeat and old and quirky and fun. And there's a real juxtaposition between the music and the kind of horror and violence unfurling around it. I love the first part of the movie because the acting by the drill sergeant's amazing. And Pyle, the guy who gets bullied, has a good character arc. He's simple, he's kind of stupid, and he's literally retarded. And he can't get anything right, and he gets smashed by the drill sergeant. And then halfway through, the drill sergeant makes Joker Pyle's mentor, and then you see some improvement from Pyle. He gets over the assault course just, and towards the end of it, even the drill sergeant finds one of Pyle's talents. Pyle has an autistic love of guns, and he's really good at shooting, and he's really good at arming them and taking them apart, disassembling them, and he knows the history and the terminology and vocabulary related to guns. And so you start thinking, yeah, man, Pyle, you can do it, mate. You relate to him. We've all been there. We've been out of our depth, and people kind of push you around a bit because you're new, but that makes you double down and you're determined to succeed. But then, unfortunately, Pyle has been pushed too far by the drill sergeant, and he kills the drill sergeant and commits suicide. The drill sergeant, I think, is a bit of a cunt, but in the scenes where they're marching in the morning, they're doing a run as a group, and they do the classic army song, the call and response. It's da 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 da. They're doing that, and I really wanted to join in. It feels like there's a sense of belonging in that group, and there's a camaraderie that's fostered by the song. There's a real spirit, in spite of the drill sergeant being a bit too heavy-handed. I really liked that, and I wanted to be part of it. I thought that was really good, and that's some of the best music in the movie is actually sung by the grunts and the drill sergeant. Apparently the drill sergeant died 3 years ago, the actor in real life, and apparently he was a real drill sergeant, and they brought him in to train up the actors to be like people in the army, and apparently he was so good they gave him the role. How's that for a bit of trivia? Loads of people told me that, and I think it's true. Check it out yourself. It's so incredibly it's the manliest film ever. There's a scene where they walk around their bunks and they've got their guns in one hand and they're grabbing their balls and they're fucking like, they're lifting up their balls to the music and they're all chanting and singing about how much they love their guns. It's some manly shit. Can't believe this film hasn't been banned yet, because there's loads of the N-words use in it. There's white people using the N-words. There's a bit, I think it's an interesting scene where there's a black guy and the prostitute in Vietnam doesn't want to bang him because apparently he might have a massive dick. And eventually she agrees to bang him after he shows his cock, which apparently isn't big enough to put her off. But then the white guy kind of takes the prostitute for the black guy, and then he says something about the N-word and hanging and stuff, and it's really shocking. But also, it reminds me of, when I was younger, I used to hang out sometimes with some Indian and Pakistani people, and they call me some white cunt, you stupid white cunt. And then we have a bit, but it wasn't done in a horrible way. It was done in a way to break the ice, but in a really dark way. It's black humor, so it's kind of breaking the black ice. And once you kind of make fun of something to that degree, you make it almost ridiculous, and then it's not a thing anymore, the race divide between us, and you can just kind of relax around each other and kind of take the piss out of each other like mates. So I thought that scene, while it was very controversial, I can imagine in that time the whites and blacks ripping it out of each other, taking the piss and actually breaking the ice and kind of getting along in a weird sort of way through a black joke. Very interesting. The movie after that, I really liked it, but I don't think it ever recovered after the first act. I think when Pyle, the bullied autistic gun-toting guy, and the drill sergeant leave, the film kind of suffers, but there's some really nice characters in it, and the music's really good, and it builds up to a really nice ending. And the ending's kind of bookended, because at the beginning, when Joker's going into the war as a journalist, one of the other infantry there says to him, "You don't have the 1,000-yard stare," which happens after you've been in real combat, where it looks like you're looking 1,000 miles away, but it just means you look tough. Or I think it can mean you look you're looking beyond. You've seen things other people haven't seen. And Joker doesn't have that. But at the end of the film, he basically kills this sniper that's killed some of his mates, and then he's got this 1,000-yard stare on his face. So it's bookended nicely there. The script is pretty good. And yeah, Full Metal Jacket, definitely recommended. It's one of the better war movies. I think there are better ones, such as Apocalypse Now, and yeah, Apocalypse Now is a killer, and Saving Private Ryan is really fucking good. And there's a few other ones as well, but yeah, Full Metal Jacket, rank it quite highly. So that's about it for today. Just wanted to tell you a bit about Dr. Dre and my little mini review of a classic Full Metal Jacket directed by Stanley Kubrick, detailing an adventure in the Vietnam War. And I tell you what, mate, you better be you better be back for the next one, because otherwise I'll be coming around your house. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, because that is what all those other cunts tell you to do. Laters.